Hello and welcome to City Slickers, the Echo's new dedicated show to Lincoln City. We're at the Shed Pub overlooking Brayford Pool, and what a nice view it is as well, if a bit of a chilly one I must say. This week I'm with Lincoln City writer Lee Curtis, and we'll be reviewing the week's events from Sincil Bank. We'll bring you an interview with Peter Jackson ahead of Saturday's home game with Rotherham. We'll also bring you interviews with skipper Scott Kerr and defender Nat Brown. Right, we're going to start by talking about Lee Frecklington, who's dominated the news at Sincil Bank this week. He's got a great goal in City's 2-0 win at Rochdale last weekend. He's also been the subject of interest from Peterborough United, but he said he doesn't want to go to Peterborough because he believes it would be a sideways move. Now, Lee, he's incurred the wrath of Darren Ferguson for those comments. Just tell us what Darren Ferguson's had to say.
Well, I think Darren's obviously seen what Lee's had to say, and he wasn't very happy to say the least. He said, I think he said the Lincoln midfielder was off his head for snubbing a move to Peterborough United. I think that's a little harsh for myself. I don't think Peterborough are that big a club. You know, admittedly they have a lot of money, but certainly haven't got the status. And I think it was a little bit harsh, to be honest.
I mean, it does seem like an incredible reaction, and it was almost a petulant response from their manager, a manager who can't seem to get his own way.
Well, I think that's the case. I think Peterborough are so used to getting their men. You know, they've got George Boyd in, they've got Craig McHale-Smith, Aaron McLean. Because they're offering so much money, you know, clubs find it hard to turn down. But because Lincoln have no financial fires to extinguish, basically, you know, Lincoln are in a position to say no, and that's what they have done. And quite clearly, Peterborough don't like it, and neither do their fans. You know, judging by the response on, I think it was LondonRoad.net, who had a few nasty things to say about Leigh as well. You know, and you know, Leigh doesn't want to go there, and I can quite understand why he doesn't want to go there. I do believe it would be a sideways move for him. I think he's quite capable of playing higher than Peterborough United, and you know, I hope to think he'd stand by his comments.
I think we can safely say Lee's not going to Peterborough now, but it does seem a case of when rather than if he will go, perhaps to a bigger club, maybe a Championship side.
I mean, there's been a lot of speculation. I think last season he did very well, scored 10 goals, and obviously a lot of clubs were looking at him then, and you know, admittedly by his, he lost a bit of form at the start of the season. It's taken him a while to get to grips again, and he's past couple of months he's started to show what a real tremendous asset he is to Lincoln, and I certainly think from Lincoln's point of view they wouldn't want to let him go, because I think he'll be crucial to their survival hopes really. And you know, he's a great little player. He's got all the attributes. I think Alan Marriott said in the paper last Monday he's got all the attributes to make a top player, you know, and at 22 years age as well, he's only going to get better, and I think, you know, quite capable. He's much higher than Peterborough's level. I don't think he'd get in the team anyway. Darren Ferguson's already spoke about building for the future, and that's no good to Leigh. He needs to be playing week in, week out, and he needs to show what he's capable of, and needs to grow and develop as a player. It'd be no good going to Peterborough and sitting on the bench.
Hand on heart, though, do you think he might go? I mean, Leeds are one of the clubs that's been mentioned.
Oh, I don't know. I think Lincoln would sell if the money it was too. I think they value him. I mean, as I understand it, I think they value him around $500,000, and you know, and I think he's a better player than Jeff Hughes certainly, and. You know, I think it all depends on who's got the money out there and who's willing to come in. You know, there's been a lot of interest in him, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Thanks a lot, Leigh. Tomorrow the Imps play Rotherham in League 2, and we caught up with Peter Jackson ahead of the game. Here's what he had to say.
Probably the best side. I've seen these twice this year, Rotherham, and probably the best side I've seen. And we know it's going to be difficult, same as Rochdale. They were the form side. We've got another form side here, top 3 side coming here. But I sense if they watch us Saturday, they'll be driving up over to Lincoln, not looking forward to it, and it's important we don't disappoint them. We look after this game what we've got coming up. These were 2 hard games, Rochdale and Rotherham, 2 very hard games, and we're going to games where we really should be the teams that we're playing. And but it starts on Saturday against a tough Rotherham side, and we know it's not going to be easy, and we have to perform well, and if we do that, we'll win the game.
Okay, interesting stuff from Peter Jackson there. Rotherham, a big game tomorrow, Leigh. They're flying high in the table. It looks like a tricky one for the Imps. How do you see it going?
I think it'll be a very tough game. I think Peter said in his piece that Rotherham are the best team in the division. They've got a lot of good players. Chris O'Grady's a good prospect. I think he was a Lincoln target at one time, former Leicester City striker. The boy up front, Derek Holmes, a real big threat. Carlisle, gigantic striker, is going to pose a real threat from set pieces. It'll be a tough test, but you know, Lincoln have started the new year in good fashion. They're unbeaten, so Peter Jackson keeps telling us, and you know, I think it's a new year and a new start for everybody.
In the grand scheme of things, though, possibly the game against Macclesfield the following weekend is possibly a bigger one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the bottom of the table, I think the win against Rochdale last weekend put them 6 points ahead of Mansfield and Wrexham at the bottom of the table, and it was a much needed win. And what it does is it's put pressure on Mansfield and Wrexham now, because they know when they use their games in hand, that they've got to go out and win. And obviously a bit too much for Mansfield on Tuesday night, who got beaten 4-0 by Wycombe at home, and that's given Lincoln some much needed breathing space. What we don't want to happen now is them to slip up anymore and slip back and lose that gap and slip back down towards the bottom two.
Thanks for the moment, Lee. We'll be hearing from Imps skipper Scott Kerr in a moment, but first we're going to be hearing from Nat Brown, who tried to explain Jamie Forrester's bizarre kung-fu celebration at Rochdale last weekend.
I think it meant to slide, but he said he just didn't know what to do, so he just jumped.
Did a karate kick?
Yeah, stupid. Almost injured himself, but like I said, it gives the team a good boost, coming into Rotherham at home. Rochdale have beat all the top teams, and we've gone there and done the job at Rochdale, and like I said, there's no reason why we couldn't beat Rotherham. Been waiting for a long time to get back that clean sheet. The last one was back in August, it's always good, give the team a boost, all we've got to do is now believe we can get more and go on and push.
How crucial is it needed to be to get those clean sheets? The team were letting leaking in goals, and their defence came under a lot of criticism. Do you think that criticism was justified?
It could be justified, yeah, but like I said, to me, more important is win. We need to win. Clean sheets may get you a point, but if you win a game, it gets you 3, and it climbs you up the table even further. So, more important thing to me is getting them 3 points.
Well, I think you all know that third in the league, not third for no reason. So it's going to be a tough game for us. But I think if the lads can build on Saturday, and play as be as resilient as we were, I think we can pick up some points.
What sort of side are Rotherham? You're a Yorkshire lad. Do you hear much about them?
Not really, no. To be fair, I know they signed a lot of players. I know they signed like about 12, 13 players in the summer, and I think they like to play football. And like I said, they're doing well this season, so it's not going to be an easy task for us.
Okay, that was Imps skipper Scott Kerr there. Now, Lee, we were expecting Scott to come back into the team on Saturday because he's been suspended the last couple of games, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was in the stands last week for the Rochdale game. Unfortunately for him, they went and picked up a great 2-0 win, so I think I did ask him, did he expect to be back in the team, and I think he trotted out that old football cliche, team did well while I was out, Gaffer's probably going to keep a winning team, but I fully expect him to be back in the team tomorrow. I think he's a club captain, and he works well with Frecklington. Shane Clark did very well last weekend in his debut, but I think Scott Kerr, especially for a game like Rotherham, you're going to need experience, and Scott Kerr certainly provides that.
Okay, thanks Lee, and that wraps up this week's edition of City Slickers. And just in case you can't get to tomorrow's game against Rotherham, I'll be in the chair for the Big Match Live service, which you'll be able to access on sportsecho.co.uk.
And we'll be looking at the Rotherham game, won't we, on Monday, Mark, for the Curtis Comments podcast, so make sure you log on to that on Monday afternoon.
Until then, have a great weekend.